Well, happy Friday to everybody, and welcome to Recovery Live. My name is Tom Williams. I'm a recovered alcoholic. It's a hot day here where I am in the Northeast. Probably going to be 95 degrees here today. I think it's been hot all around the country, actually, right now. When I just got back from a retreat in Prescott, Arizona, and when I landed in Phoenix, it was 110 degrees. And that dry or humid, it's 110 is 110. I just welcome everybody today. I mean, it was a wonderful retreat. 40 people's lives changed up at a beautiful camp in Prescott, Arizona. So inspiring to come back after such a thing. And we're all looking forward to our California retreat coming up at the end of August and our new Indiana retreat. And there's Tom Clancy. He's on already, who will be with us at the Indiana retreat. We're just happy to keep going. Today, we're going to have a great show today. I have two guests, which I'll let on in a minute. Alicea Martinez is joining us from California, and Tim Doyle's joining us from St. Joseph, Missouri again today. And we're going to be talking about some very, I think, very important subjects that we should talk about in recovery and in life. You know, a lot about we've been talking about, guys, has been harm reduction, and we even breached the subject of overdose prevention sites and all of this, and how to reach the least, the last, and the lowest before they're even ready. But now, what do we do with people that are ready to become recovered and restored? Go through our program or maybe some other program, but let's just say our program. Now what, right? We tell them they got to live in the go. We give you some tools, but many times all of participants show up and they have all sorts of things in life that they want to start growing in. And we should talk about ways that we can help and ways that the program can be overlaid on all different aspects of your life to create change. So with that being said, I'd love to bring Tim and Alicea on the show with me today. Sue Foreman, you're there. I'd like to see you there today. Anna Louise, she's here with us. Greg Needham from Washington. Wow. Leanne is with us from England. Wow, Leanne. Hi, how are you? Wait for Melissa to join us. Welcome, guys. Tim, Alicea, how are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Awesome as well.
What's the weather in Missouri today, Tim?
You can bake cookies on the sidewalk today. So
yeah, here too. Yes, but not cookies.
I was going to say, yeah.
Eggs, maybe.
As soon as I said that, I knew Alicea was going to catch me. I knew it.
No cookies and eggs. But it was such a great retreat, guys, last weekend that we were at. And Taryn will probably come on in a while in our chat. I'm always amazed when I travel in and watch the transformations. And when I got there on Friday night and the scared, kind of apprehensive look on people's faces, and then watch as the life kind of comes back into them over the weekend, it's really something.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I did get some of this airline snafu. Been hearing about that in the paper. Missed a connecting flight. I had a lot of chances to work my 10, 11, and 12, guys. And to have forgiveness and to have tolerance and patience, which is our code, which we sometimes are not so happy to have that, right?
How long did you have to wait in the airport for the connection?
6 hours.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
And overnight. I mean, it was really, really late, wasn't it?
Well, the plane I got was at midnight. Yeah, once I got on the plane, it flew overnight. And I don't know if you guys are, but I really can't sleep on an airplane.
No.
I can't either.
And it's only a 4-hour flight this was from Denver, my connection back to Newark. And so, the first 40 minutes, they're serving stuff, they're keeping you. And then the last hour, they got you awake. So really, at best, you could maybe sleep 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
So
did you make amends? I need to know that.
Did I make amends? I did. Well, what the key is, Tim, I didn't do anything to need to make amends for.
Oh, well, that's impressive.
That's what was good. Now, I was standing up for my position as a consumer with with the airlines, but I stopped short of doing anything that needed to make amends. But see, guys, that's the point, is that now I live a different life today. When I get into these situations that are difficult, even when you feel really wronged,
Yeah.
and the world would say you're justified to just blow that person out.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I choose different today. And so that's the kind of thing we teach, guys, is we let you live in the go, and we have you be patient and tolerant in everything, and realize that bringing some sunshine to somebody, that poor gate agent.
Oh my.
I'm just one of 100 people that have just screamed and yelled at him. Now, I didn't scream and yell at him today. What can I do? As I ran up to him, thinking I could scream and yell at this guy, or he's looking like a panic in his eyes,
Right.
me and others. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
So I chose different. But it was stressful to sit and not get sleep and all of that. But
Right.
Totally successful retreat, and lives are changing. We're going to be really anxious to hear how some of the people have are making out as time goes on. Let's see.
Is on. Did you see what she said?
What'd she say?
About a connecting flight coming up or something.
To the States in 3 weeks. That will be the test for my 10, 11, and 12. Yes, Melissa. Well, I don't know where you're connecting, but they say you put a couple hours anyway, 3 hours in a connection. That's what they're suggesting today. Don't plan a flight that's connection is shorter than 3 hours because of all the stuff that's going on. And my connection was 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I don't know. Leanne, I think, was a flight attendant at one time. So she's got, so there we go. That's about a lifetime of resentment. Leanne, I don't know if you heard the story about when I went to, when we were flying out to California. And yes, I had a chance to make amends to a flight attendant that I kind of laid into. But I did do it. I went back to the back of the plane and said I was sorry for what I had done. We live in this world, guys, and it tempts us all the time, and it stresses us, right? Every day.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So today, guys, we're going to talk about, like I was saying at the beginning, we've done a lot of talk, and you guys have been in these discussions with us. We've been kind of skewing lately episodes on harm reduction and really the efforts being placed kind of before people decide that they want to do anything about their addiction, and the harm reduction and the overdose prevention and things like that. But now what happens when they do get recovered? They come through some program, our program, and now they're on the other side. Now what? We do, what's the opposite of harm reduction, which is
recovery assurance.
Recovery assurance.
Mm.
Right. We teach people 10, 11, and 12 and say, go out and live your life.
Right.
But how?
But how? In finances, in relationships, in health and fitness,
Right.
and all these categories of life that I know I wasn't very successful at. And here I am with this brand new start, fresh start. And what do we do now? So Alicea and I have been talking a lot about coming up with a program, and we're coming up with it on healthy lifestyles. And we're gonna present a workshop as an option at retreats about healthy lifestyles. Because Tim, we think a lot of people we know just don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
For living a healthy lifestyle.
Yep.
And Tim has been working on a program that he's actually been presenting in prisons called Brave Fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another element of a whole category of people that need some help in a specific way. Even after they get recovered from addiction, they need some specific advice and some help, right?
Absolutely.
So we were all talking, saying, we got to talk about this. This is what we should talk about with everybody. And so today we're going to end. So Alicea and I will apologize already if we come across too strong.
You too intense.
You know what? I'm going to claim it right now. I can't make anyone feel anyway. If they are going to be defensive right away, then I'm not claiming it. And the ones that want to hear it, whether it's about their budget or their career or their finances or their health or their wellness or their exercise, then that's who will hear it. Right. Because me too, the same way. Like Tom will get on me on my back, which I am icing and heating right now. And I'm like, la, 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 la. So I need to listen also to everything.
You know that? Lisa, can we record this? Oh, it is recorded.
I'm not saying Tom was right. I'm just saying I need to listen and then discern with wisdom what is for me and what's not for me.
I enjoy watching the two of you joust for sure.
We're learning right along with every single participant in the retreats, if not more.
And Tim, you know, part of my patience and tolerance is that when Alicea and I disagree, I just am okay with her being wrong. You know,
but he's not right.
Anyway, Tim, you know, it's so interesting, your program, and we had to talk about it the other day, and you and I have talked a couple of times about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about, first of all, what's the problem in America?
Right.
With these men, how big this problem is? Because I don't think people understand it, how big it is, and what you're doing about it, and what you're, just to give us a 30,000 foot of your program.
Sure. What's interesting, Tom, is that, I kind of came into this, I think my addiction, even though I'm a normie, but my addiction was affirmation because I didn't have a father growing up. And the stepdad I had was alcoholic and abusive. So that's my connection to alcoholism. I was on the receiving end of that. So I was starving for affirmation, for approval, to know that I had value and worth, all the things that a father's supposed to give to his sons and daughters. So that's where the impetus for me began. And I was producing a program called Focus on the Family, radio show a few years ago that I got to deal with this topic, and it just stirred something up in me. And I began to share my story and see people come alive or start to weep because of the pain. And I realized there was something to it. So a few years ago, I hooked up with a couple of other national organizations and began to travel and teach a seminar, and would go into prisons, go into military bases, locker rooms, churches, schools, wherever, and just talk about this issue. And it is what sociologists say, Tom, is the number one social problem of our day, which is the father vacuum, the lack of fatherhood, people not having a father in the home growing up. And the United States leads the world in fatherlessness. And speaking specifically of prisons, over 90%, some say as high as 94% of those men incarcerated did not have a father in the home growing up. And I began to go into prisons, and frankly, they began to break my heart because I thought these guys were monsters and they would eat me alive. Man, I tell you what, just the opposite. Their hearts were so tenderized by this topic because they didn't have it growing up. They don't know how to give it away to their kids. Mm-hmm. And now they're incarcerated, and oftentimes the mothers of their children and or the children want nothing to do with this guy. So he really is stranded without hope. So I began to just go in and bring some hope. And I kind of had to put that on a shelf for a few years when I became a pastor. But lately, it's like the Lord's been allowing me to revisit that. And I developed a brand new curriculum from scratch. And I debuted it. We did our test flight last Saturday in a prison here locally. And oh my gosh, it was just awesome. But when I say awesome, it isn't like everybody's woo. Everybody's like gripping their heart because it's touching something very, very deep. And it's just, I think, Thomas, what I was built to do. I absolutely love it.
So, Tim, and just as a additional factor for our listeners, what percentage of those fathers are also addicts?
Oh my goodness. I don't have a qualified research, to give reference to, but I would say based on a show of hands, I think another 90%, I would guess, have some background in addiction of some type. And the same with my guys on the outside. We have a lot of men and women in recovery now coming to our church. And I would say the same percentage of them spent time incarcerated. I just don't think that's a coincidence that those two realities converge. And I feel like, this is my soapbox, right? This is where I get passionate, that a lot of those social ills go back to that lack of affirmation, the lack of approval. Do I matter? So now you look to other things to give you that. I didn't look to substance. I looked to people like I became an overachiever. I got to be the best at everything because then people will love me. People will like me. That's an addiction too. And so it's been fun for me on my journey. I eventually met my biological father and took his name as an adult man with a family. How different is that? And as a broadcaster, where your name is your handle, your moniker. And so the journey for me has been one of discovery, one of healing. And I just see such a huge need, and it's backed up by the research that shows what a big issue this is.
So, and you have some personal experience with this growing up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. My stepfather, my mother and father, biological, were never married. So my mom married a guy when I was about 4 or 5 years old, who was alcoholic, abusive, in and out of jail. And he didn't know how to father. He just passed on what he had received from his alcoholic father, which was get drunk, spend all the family's money on alcohol, get drunk, and then take out your anger on your kids. And I mean, Tom, it was like, we're talking physical, like somebody would bleed type anger, And so it's not that I'm living in my pain from the past, but I recognize how critical, how important this issue is. And Tom, I've had a chance to not only on the fathering seminar, but also to help churches and organizations learn how we can impart a blessing to our kids just by the way we live our lives. I've seen 70-year-old men break down and ask for that father's blessing, that they're awesome guys. They've lived wonderful lives. They've raised great kids, but they themselves never felt affirmed. And so there's that vacuum. They call it the father vacuum. And I tell people when I teach it, it's just like the household variety. It sucks. The father vacuum sucks. It sucks dirt. It sucks debris, garbage, refuse into your life that doesn't belong there in an attempt to fill a legitimate need. So no matter what it is, we find artificial substitutes for the genuine thing.
And I know my father's not listening because he doesn't do social media, so I don't say this, but when I grew up, I mean, my family, Tim, was for all intents and purposes, just a normal, regular, everyday family. But, I know my father was not a, touchy-feely guy, and wasn't a confidant of mine. He wasn't somebody I went to. I mean, he was a father only, and we weren't very friends. And I know that there was a void, a vacuum now, if that's a great word, in my life because of a need I needed. And it certainly got filled when I did drugs, alcohol, and it had me going that way. Both of my parents were that way. So even guys, I think someone in our audience, Tim, I think you would agree that they don't have to, the parents and all don't have to be in prison in extreme circumstance to have the father vacuum be an effect on your life.
That's exactly right. And what I've learned, Tom, through you and through Came to Believe is oftentimes this is a generational issue with substance abuse. And so it goes all the way back to grandpa or great grandpa. And I think what we're discovering here is the fact that it just contributes, that lack of feeling valued, of feeling loved. And can I say this? I've had a chance to go into a city, and I literally did this. I went into Lansing, Michigan. I did a seminar in the federal prison there. The next day I was at the church that had invited me in. The prison seminar was packed, like standing room only. The church seminar, we had to beg guys to come. And what I said about that experience was this, that both those guys, sets of men, are in prison. One's behind bars you can see, one's behind bars you can't see. And
Wow.
that's the more dangerous crowd. The ones
Wow.
with bars you can't see, because the guys on the inside know they screwed up. They're cut off from their kids. They'd give their left arm to kiss their babies goodnight at night. The guys on the outside don't know their need. They're distracted. They're too busy. They're missing the best opportunity of their life to pour into their sons and daughters while they have the opportunity. So, yeah, it's something I definitely have passion for.
Wow. So, Tim and Alicia and I are going to talk about this in a minute when we start talking about, healthy lifestyles.
Yeah.
And what we're going to start talking about is what are obstacles? What are, I wasn't going to call them excuses, although we
Right.
can say that, but reasons. Number one or two big reasons or factors that these men feel, or obstacles in order to get back and connect with their children again. What are the one or two that you see all the time, the big things?
Yeah. Well, I think obviously we've already said it, the lack of approval or affirmation from the dad, even if he was a good father, like he provided for the family, he was physically there, but he just didn't know how to connect to his kids. And I'm not saying guys have to be all sappy. I'm just saying there's something about the physical presence of a father in the home who shows genuine, healthy, unconditional love. Without that, we always wonder if we measure up. What the saying in the South is, when does a boy become a man? When his daddy says so. The problem is daddies aren't saying so. So we leave our sons and daughters just to find it on their own. And in a lack of even physical affection, closeness with their father, young women and young men go looking for that elsewhere. And that's when they get in trouble. It just, again, things to try to fill that vacuum, that void that were meant to be filled in a legitimate way by a loving father. I also want to say real quickly, Tom, just the social construct with families today. So many families experiencing divorce. So many families where there's an estrangement, and obviously single moms out there. My gosh, I was raised by one. Even though my mother married when I was young, she mothered me on her own. She was trying to do both jobs, toughest job in the world. So we're not condemning those women at all. What I think we all can agree is how critical this issue is. So lack of physical affection, lack of affirmation, the physical disruption of the nuclear family unit. Those are probably the big things that I see that almost everyone to some degree has dealt with.
So when you talk to these men, and if you said, okay, you guys, let's just, I don't know how you say, you went and go, you've been estranged to your children. What is it that what's your number one reason why you feel like you can't go and connect with your children? What would they say?
Well, oftentimes, especially if they're in prison, it's because the mother of the kids or the kids themselves want nothing to do with them. Interesting story. That same seminar in Lansing, talking to a young man who we encourage the guys basically where they're at. They can't have physical contact oftentimes. So we say, write letters, write notes, send them cards, do whatever you can, phone calls, stay in touch. This one guy came up to me, thought he had me cornered, right? He said, I write letters all the time, and my old lady, not my words, his, won't let the kids have them. And so they get returned back to me, returned to sender. So why should I write letters? And I said, well, you should keep writing them. And he said, why? What's the point? And I said, well, because one day, and see, this was my story. One day that young man or that young woman is going to come looking for you. Now, he may have a fist because he's mad at you, but you'll have a fistful of proof that he was in your heart the entire time. And right now it's about you. It's not about him. It's about you keeping your heart tender, allowing that healing to take place. Because honestly, Tom, you can't give away what you've never received.
Yeah.
So you have to be healed. It starts right here. And once we allow, our heart to begin opening up and find that healing, then we have the strength, we have the confidence. And we're not blaming everybody else. It's not everybody else's issue. It's right here. It starts right here. So that, I think, is probably one of the things that the men deal with. Oftentimes, if there is divorce, there's been animosity, there's been turmoil, and maybe the other spouse is not treating that person very fairly, using the kids as weapons. I always tell the men this, because that's who I usually talk to is the guys. I say, the commandment is honor father and mother. It doesn't say if she's honorable or if she honors you back. It says you honor her. And what you're doing is you're modeling, you're showing your sons and daughters the right way to live. I don't care what everybody else is doing. I care about what you're doing. And in that way, we can help our sons and daughters launch from a higher platform than we had the opportunity to.
Boy, easier said than done, though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, Tim, last thing, at least, and then if Alicea, you have any questions or comments, do you do any help them connect with the moms? Do you do any liaising where somebody in prison says, I really would love, they won't take my letters, I would love to get back, can you get a message to her? Do you do any of that or no?
No, because we're not permitted to.
Okay.
That's against the rules. But what we do is give them some great suggestions. And in the midst of our workshop, we give them exercises. We give them to-dos, right? So we don't just lecture at them for 4 hours. We sit and process in real time what it's going to take. And we encourage them to share some of their things that it's like you do with your workshops, your retreats, Tom. A similar pattern where you've got to take action now. And what you've just acknowledged is an issue. Now, what are you going to do about that? So some real practical, concrete steps that they can take to make amends, to reach out, to connect, and not make it a one-hit wonder, but a lifestyle. Again, Alicea, right? Little steps, that lead to great results.
So, Alicea, how does this make you, what do you have any reactions or questions listening to this conversation?
Yeah, first I was thinking that the fathers, since it's geared to fathers, would need to, if they're in the addiction, have they done the 12 steps?
Right.
And then they can start making their amends and showing evidence that they are trustworthy right now, because the moms are trying to protect themselves and the kids.
Yeah.
So they need to give them time. They can't just be sober for one day and then want the kids back. They have to be honest with themselves and have integrity, and that's going to take some time and some work on their part.
Exactly.
Right. I also wanted to know, is it a 12-week program, or is there a timeline with
the current version, the current model, which is brand new, right? Just barely got it out of the showroom. We spent a morning together, so like 8 to 12. And then there's a 7-day challenge that comes along with it. And what I would love to do eventually is to turn it into an online course that would be a longer, like we walk together for a period of time where we hold each other accountable, much like a Came to Believe, weekly meeting where we talk about how is it going, encourage these guys, where have they struggled, how can we support and encourage, what ideas can we glean from other men so that we can walk together as a community and not feel like we're in it all alone.
And this is so, encouraging to me, Tim, to be able to say, like with Alicea, when we finish taking people through the steps, and there's some fathers that come through our program that have never seen their kids or been estranged, I don't have a lot of advice for them except for the generic living in the go advice, go do the right thing kind of thing. But to be able to say, contact Tim, the Great Fathers program, here's some things. Why don't you go talk to them and meet a group of other men that have overcome this and have these skills. This is exciting, and we should be part of this, Tim. Came to Believe, as having you as a tool, just like we're a tool for you. You should be a tool for us in this category. I think it's just the ability to even reach deeper into restoration. Is something we really want to keep going.
Awesome, I love it.
And when we talk about those things like that, when people get recovered and they have an issue like they haven't seen their kids in a long time. I want to go back and just say to Leanne, Alicea can say that I'm right about stuff. Did you see Leanne said never say Tom is right?
No.
I'm pretty sure on a couple of British meetings, you had to bow down and go, "You're right, Tom."
I have a video that Tom actually
Oh,
spoke that he said something like, "I'm not right all the time," or something like that. And I have it on my phone. So, and I send it to him.
It's your ringtone, right?
Yeah, just to remind him. And he's like, "Will this video ever die?" I'm like,
Oh,
no,
my
I have
goodness.
it in a file
That's
on
awesome.
my phone. And if anybody wants it, I'll send it to you.
of course, Lisa had to put that up there just so you all
Yeah,
see.
of course. Of course.
It's anyway. The other thing, and Alicia and I were talking, this is the other part of what we want to talk a little bit about today is other parts of our lifestyles and other parts of things that we need to heal from or get practical advice and skills and tools from when we become recovered. And Alicia and I have a passion for, she has more of a nutrition passion than I do, although for myself, I'm very careful about it, but I'm not as educated on all the nutrition stuff as Alicia is. But I am into the fitness part a lot. And we find a lot of people show up and they come in. This could be just all Americans, Tim and Alicia, that are in some level of fitness and health and their lifestyle. And what can we do to help people to make a change if they want to? If people want to make a change, and there's some real barriers to that we talk about with people making any kind of change in finances and relationships, in health and fitness and nutrition, and even in what you're doing, Tim. There's some real barriers, and we know there's some real barriers in the lifestyle, healthy lifestyle things. And I never was able to do it. I was, I'm just not that kind of a person. I don't have the time.
Which are all excuses and mindset that needs to be changed, because that excuse, if you changed it to maybe I can, what can I do? Baby steps. You can use that in finances, relationships, food, fitness, all of it. So it's not just food. It's all areas of your life.
Sue put a good question up that I saw go by, which said that we should do a survey of recovered people and ask them what they feel like they need to change. Right? It's kind of meeting them where they're at. So, right, does the father even want to meet his kids? Does he think he can? Right. Is that a desire? Does somebody want to change? Like, what do they think a healthy lifestyle looks like to them? Do they even think they don't live a healthy lifestyle when it comes to, right? And we talk about some people don't. Alicia, you sent me something the other day that said 90% of Americans believe in a balanced diet, but 75% of Americans are overweight or obese. So there's a disconnect there someplace with what people think is a change or what they,
Just statistically, 12% of Americans are metabolically well. After COVID, 7% of Americans. And there's 5 markers that are listed, and you can see what they are. Am I metabolically fit? And being metabolically fit, that keeps you away from autoimmune disease, cancer, heart disease, stroke, COVID, all the things. And it's not saying you have to be skinny and muscular, and that's fine. That's if you want, but that's not the thing. How's your blood pressure and your triglycerides and the fact that cholesterol is being demonized it's been so debunked, and I can't. And then I have to be careful because I've been studying this like daily for years, and I expect you guys to know what I know, but they don't. So then when I hear what they're saying, like eggs are bad or something, I'm like, what bubble have you been living in? So I have to start at where they're, like we do in the retreats, where meet them where they are, and show them studies if they want to, or show them a YouTube video, or show them that once we went low fat, that means high sugar, high carb. And now we are a sick nation. So maybe there's a connection here.
And we think, in us talking about this, I don't know if this rings with you, Tim. We think, first of all, we'd love people to admit it, right? Do the yes, yes, and anything.
Right.
Yes, I feel like my lifestyle could be better. Yes, I want to do something about it. And yes, I'm willing to do anything about it. And then even say, what's your conception of a healthy lifestyle? And don't take ours, or even what the 5 markers say, or what the world says and the commercials on TV say, but use your own conception. We're using the same language that we use in recovery, your conception, and just don't stay there. So allowing people to start right where they are and then slowly moving along. You can't get to 3 until you get to 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I used to say, when I used to train people, if I talked to them, Tim, about doing 10 push-ups and they didn't even know what one was, have never done one, it's completely foreign subject to them.
Right.
Completely foreign. So you teach them how to do it. You get them and get them to do 1. And then once they can do 1, you say to them, now how about 10? All of a sudden it becomes possible.
Yeah.
So what else in life is it that we have dismissed, or people have completely dismissed their ability to do because they don't even know how to get over step 1 that would launch them?
Mm-hmm.
And we think that it's our responsibility, just like reaching into these fathers, to at least offer people this opportunity to say, come and tell us what you think your starting point is, and let's see if we can draw a roadmap for you to get you to a goal that's yours.
Yeah. I think, from my vantage point, from my topic, my subject, I would say that one of the most beautiful things I see is just someone giving people hope. I saw someone put that in the chat a minute ago. Just give them people hope that it can be better. And someone taking the time to just, sit down, share with them some truths, but also really just saying, I believe you can do this. And not many people are saying that. Most of us take the whole, I'm a loser, I screwed up, what's the point? Just someone to encourage, I think, goes a long way. To me, that's step 1. And I see the light come on, like you talked about, Tom. See the light come on in people's eyes. Maybe it could be different than it is now.
I think, sadly, too, is like we really need to be rigorously honest, which takes accountability. So maybe if we need sponsors and people around us to kind of nudge us, because addiction switching is real. I mean, I did it. So we stopped drinking, but we're still doing this, this, and this, and this. And we're angry and we're resentful, which we gave up in step 7, but we think we're recovered because we got rid of alcohol, but we're spiraling. And so I feel I need people to go, Alicea, and be honest, like, okay, and we're never finished, right? We're progressing forever. It's not, you go to one retreat, you're done. No, you're not done ever.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Process. So living in the go, 10, 11, and 12 is a 365-degree process. It's got to reach every part of your life. I think everybody, if they're honest, like you're saying, Alicea, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll say this, but I think everybody, if you said to them, would you like to be as healthy as the healthiest point in your life, would you like to be that way again? Would you love that if that's what you were? I think a lot of people, if not everyone, would say, well, yeah. But there's something, like you say, Tim, that they're saying, I'm a loser, I'm no good, I let it go, and I'll never be that way again. I'm too old, I'm too late. My kids, my dad.
Which is not true. They're
which is what we want to say.
Into themselves.
Right. We can get restored. Because remember when we said that about our drugs and alcohol, and then all of a sudden we're restored. It's gone, and the promises are coming true in our lives, and the promises can overlay on everything. And this is this encouragement, Tim, to everybody. You can make all these changes. You can. And some of these changes that someone would make to improve their lifestyle, if it's finances, relationships, nutrition, and fitness, they are so inspiring in yourself and confidence building. You know, even your program, say a father gets back with his kids, can you imagine what else he thinks now he can do?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And helping people move from stage to stage and growing in all these areas is so important.
One thing I've learned, Tom, from you and walking with our friends now that are in the process of recovery is that relapse happens. It does. You know, I don't like it, but what's fun is, again, that fathering heart that says, if you make a mistake, that's your language, right, Tom? You made a mistake. You don't throw it away and say, well, I know I couldn't do it. No, you just made a mistake. You know, so you make a better choice tomorrow. It isn't that you've proven that you can't do it. Not at all. Just the opposite.
And then sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say them coming back, because there's a guy I'm thinking in your facility that came back after a relapse. And that is so inspiring to other people to see he came right back.
Yep.
And so it's not a mistake. It's helping. It helped me as a leader to see him in that room.
Yeah. And
I was
it was
like,
honest.
oh, there he is.
Yeah. He said to me, Alicia, he was like, when he told me, gosh, I'll cry talking about it because I love this guy so much. His little bottom lip was quivering, you know, and he just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so ashamed. And I said, dude, you got nothing to be ashamed about. He said, I'm sorry to tell you. I'm like, I'm not sorry you told me. I'm glad you told me. Now, if you hadn't told me, then I would be concerned. But that you told me, you trusted me with that. And I still believe in you. And we're going to walk this out. You know, that's what
he came right back to the meeting.
He did. Shame says we've got to hide. We can't talk about it unless they think I'm not a good person or whatever. It's like, no, that's a trap you fall into. So it was beautiful. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's so real. And like you brought up before, like people in the rooms do that.
Yeah.
And sadly, I might be judging. Here I go. People in my church and churches are not doing that.
Right.
They're not.
I agree.
And it's just like,
The church has had its head in the sand far too long. And it's time we pick up our eyes and look who we're called to help.
Wow. There's some great comments going on about, and it's what we're talking about, is that you can get recovered from your addiction, right? You come out and you're now free, but you're not recovered or restored. I would even say is a better word for other things in your life that you need. And that's where we need to keep encouraging people. And that's where the meetings are great, Tim. And that's why programs like this need to be available so that when people say, all right, I want to get healthy. All right, Alicia and Tom, let's go to your workshop. Hey, I need to get back with my family and other things. We were talking about this today. What about finances? How many people don't even have to balance a checkbook? Why can't we be helping that?
Right. Or they might be shopping too much and not seeing it as an addiction or right? Social media, Amazon.
As we see successes, you know, I always say this, when you see the success in something that you didn't have success before, you got to remember that and say, well, I didn't think I could do that, but I did. So the next challenge comes up. We start to say, but wait a minute, the last challenge that I didn't think I could do, I did. So maybe I can do this one. And they build on each other. And with encouragement and support and fellowship, which is what we do in our meetings and all, I think we encourage everyone to be making all these changes. This is living in the go, that you get this process, and then we help you and we encourage each other to keep growing with each other in every aspect of your life. It's just fabulous.
And being honest too with our defects coming up or addiction switching, then we need to just be in that honest space and then look at, like for me, for food, that was mine. So being sober from alcohol, but then going to the food, if I was honest, and I wasn't for 20 more years, then I get, what am I hiding from? Why am I feeling I have to eat or starve? And I didn't want to see it. and it was total distraction. And I just hope that others won't go down that route, because it was just 20 more years in another addiction. And exercise. We don't even have to go there. I'm still working on that one. Completely honest about that. Yes.
And we do have that issue where what I'll say, what is too much exercise? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm careful with it. It's been great conversation, guys. If you in our audience have been touched by any of this today, any of this in the subject of the fathers, reach out to us and we'll get you in contact with Tim, so he can give you some advice and maybe bring his program to you and tell you what he's doing. If you have that issue, please reach out to us. We'd love to share that information, and we'll hook you right up with Tim. He's not that hard to get in touch with. And then, Alicea and I know we come from extensive backgrounds in the health and fitness is what we did in a former life. I did fitness in industry for 20 years and stuff. And we're going to be working on some programs. If you're interested in anything like that we're talking about, please reach out to us on the side. We'd love to know that people are interested in it. Like Sue Foreman said, what are people interested in when they get better? What do they think they need to get better at? And we'd love to help you. So I think this was a great conversation, guys, that we should have more of when we talk about Living to Go. We have to do our shirt giveaway though today. So I want to thank you guys for being with us again. Tim, you're getting to be a regular. We love having you on. Alicea, of course, you're always with us. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Tim, good luck, and we're with you behind for your program, everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Tom.
And Alicea, you and I will probably talk again a million times until we get this thing figured out that we're figuring out. Anyway, here we go, guys. Have a great weekend, and let's do our shirt giveaway, Lisa. Let's see how many people #recovered. We didn't even announce it. I wonder how many people have done the #recovered for the shirt giveaway today. I haven't seen any of that. Oh, I saw a few, I think. But let's see how many are on. Well, there's 10. Do we want to give it one more second before we do it? You guys got just one last chance. #recovered gets you a chance to win a shirt. There we go. There's 11. All right, let's do it, Lisa. Sunny May. Where are you from, Sunny May? You're the winner. Give us your address in the Facebook in the private chat, your address, so that Lisa can send you the shirt. I'm looking anyway. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being with us today. It was another great show. Have a great weekend wherever you are, and we will see you next week. Same time, 9 o'clock Pacific time, 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern, and 5 o'clock in the UK for another edition of Recovery Live. Have a great weekend, everybody.